All right, thank you for that warm welcome. Welcome to this exciting episode of Bob the Sign Man, continuing on with our Gerber Omega 5.0 for traffic sign guys only, which means we're not going to be doing any other graphics that can be done with the program. We're just doing strictly traffic signs. So today we're going to jump in. We're going to be doing another sign. We're going to be using a different kind of border. This will be a directional sign, and we'll jump right into it here, and I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to make a sign like this that has the border split in. See how it has a divider down the middle? And we're going to go ahead and make this sign. Well, one like it. I'll make one that's more kind of generic for my area. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Gerber Omega 5. And we're going to start with a basic sign, blank. Let's make this one... let's go 36 inches tall. We're going to go 72 inches long, and we're going to give it we'll give it a 2.25 inch radius. So down here we'll go 2.25, and we'll click OK. Space bar. Excuse me. It'll center our project, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up some guidelines. You can center your guidelines close as you can, then you can always just that looks good. You can toggle your project, move it around with the arrows if you have to get it centered on the axis. Okay, then we're going to give it a border. We're going to go up under tools and we're going to outline it. Now when you outline this, whenever you do a minus, remember I was telling you it comes on the inside, and if you don't put a minus it goes on the outside. So we want to come on the inside. So let's put a let's just put, to make this easy, you can check your specs on your signs that you're making. Like this one, it calls for certain type of borders, but we're just going to, for now, we're just going to give it an inch minus 1.0. We'll just give it an inch around. Okay, so now what happened is it put an inch border all the way around that. Now if you just toggle into this sign, you're going to see that it's white, a white sign. And this inside here, let's give it a green background like we do with the, and we're going to arrange that to the front. So now you have a basic blank is what it looks like with no lettering in. And then we're going to go ahead and let's put some cities in here that I'm going to go some 6-inch, let's do 6-inch series C. Whatever your sign you're making for calls for, they're using series E letters, and we're just going to, for the sake of this video, we're just going to go ahead and use the series C, and we're doing it caps. There's a city up here, St. Helena, H-E. And then we have another city, valley called Calistoga. So just imagine we're going to be pulling up to a cross street, and it'll help the tourists or whoever figure out which way St. Helena is and which way Calistoga is. We're just going to center those roughly in the middle. Now we're going to put some arrows in there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a file that I keep some letters in. Like I said, I save a lot of my stuff. Here we got number, arrows, and symbols. Open that up. Arrow to the left. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm just going to click copy, and then I'm just going to shut that off. And you think, well, that's a big arrow. It's only 6 by 9, so it's not that big of an arrow really. Go ahead and I'm going to shut that off. Then I'm going to go ahead and paste my arrows in here. Calistoga is going to be actually, St. Helena will be here. Calistoga is going to be here. So what I'm going to do is, if you were to pull up to a crossroad between the two cities, you'd want to know which way is St. Helena, which way is Calistoga. So this arrow needs to come around the other direction. So what you do, so you click it, highlight it, and then we're going to go up to shape, and then we're going to, where it says flip X, you're just going to hit these different flips will do different things with the arrow, but we're just going to flip X and see how it just flipped it around the other direction. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring a guideline down. We're going to line up the arrow so it's pretty straight on with St. Helena. And we're going to do the same thing with Calistoga. Let me borrow the reference line. And we're going to borrow the thing there. And I'm going to put about a 6-inch gap between the two. I'm just winging it kind of here for sakes. You can spec out your sign how you want on this one. Height, we're going to go 1 inch high, 6 inches long. So what I'm going to do is just move this box down to the front of the C, move it over a little bit, move this point over so it's roughly 6 inches. Same thing, I go from the letter of the A, and that's pretty darn close to 6 inches. I think I'll just get rid of that, recenter my project. So now my St. Helena and Calistoga, these are all kind of the same length here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group these two together, hit F6. So now when you highlight one, the arrow and everything stays. We'll do the same with Calistoga, hit Shift, and then F6 will group them all together. And then I'll kind of bring this, whoops, you can always hit Control Z to bring it back. I'm going to kind of bring this thing kind of center. See how my little and we should be close to center of these two. What I'll do is I'll kind of bring a little reference guide here. How about that? Those worked out pretty good. I mean, those are pretty even. They're going to be the same size and everything. So we've got those, and they're joined together, each separate one. So what we want to do is we want to put that divider in the middle, and to do that, we're going to come down to our border tool, and then bring your tool just in the middle, and just drag out a box. And the height is going to be 1 inch. The length is going to be the same length that we just drug it out. Thickness, and then the type is going to be a squared off, so it'll look something like that. As you can see now, the line that we just put in extends in the middle, so it covers it up. Now if you were to toggle in and out now, we're going to make these white. Calistoga, we're going to make these white, and they should appear to the top. And this little box we're going to turn white. So now you look at your sign and you go, oh, I've got this split in the middle, but this is what your plotter is going to cut. And you don't want to cut those little niches out. So what we're going to do is we're going to join these boxes together and make one big border. And to do that, we're going to do something simple. We're just going to click all three of these, and then we're going to come up to our center tool, and watch what's going to happen. It's going to center all that stuff just for us. Okay, now see how it centered the box now? So if you look at the thing, you go, oh, that's great. That's kind of what we want it to look like. Now what we want to do is we want to join these in together, and there's several ways you can do it. I'll show you the easiest way for me without having to cut and put little new reference lines in and stuff. We'll get into that in a different video. But for now, go ahead and click the inside border. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to hold down your shift. We're going to click that. So those two are highlighted. Now we're going to join those together. We're going to come up to our tools, and we're going to come under where it says effects. So you have all kinds of little tools here. We're going to do the effects. And then it gives you certain overlap, layer, shapes, stripes, and special. Click special. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the A and the B. We're going to take A minus B, which is going to be this little overlap spot. Click it. And then we're just going to click continue. And see what that did? It went ahead and it formed the perfect border for us. So now when you toggle in and out, there it is, and you're going to cut it, and you're going to go, great, we're done, but not quite yet. We want to center this St. Helena and Calistoga separately. We want to center them in each one of their respective boxes that they're supposed to be in. So to do that, we're going to ungroup this for now. So that way when we click it, see what happens. We're going to click ungroup, F5. So you could just highlight one box at a time. So I'm going to slide over some reference lines. So see, that's perfect. It turned red. It's all lined up. We're going to bring one down for there. And then this one we're just going to slide up to there. Now see, they're all red, so they're on center. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the top box here, hold down on your shift key and St. Helena, and then we're going to come up here and we're going to center St. Helena and the arrow perfectly within that box. Okay, now see, it did move the box out a little bit, but since everything's highlighted now, and if it didn't highlight, just hold that down, hold shift. And now watch what happens over here on this lines and these lines. Turns red. Now the bottom line I'm going to bring up a little bit. Turns red. Now we're back in perfectly centered where we want. This St. Helena is perfectly centered inside of our green legend here now. See that? And we're going to do the same thing with the Calistoga. We're going to hit the box. We're going to select it. Hold down on your shift key. And we've got the Calistoga, and we're going to come up here to our line tool. And we're going to stack everything together so it's on top perfect. You'll see the thing move a little bit. And now we're going to move it right back down to our reference lines that we left. It's just easier to line back up this way. There you are. Perfect. Then what we want to do, I'm going to get rid of these reference lines so you can see a little easier. These reference lines you can slide either to the left or to the right. See how it just gets rid of them? Now here's our completed sign. Everything is lined up perfect. We've got the arrows. Everything is straight here, straight here. Sometimes you have to, if you have a smaller name, you'll have to slide your arrow over. So you want everything kind of centered so all these lines are straight. So I'm going to come back and I want to click that top box. Hold down on your shift key. You're going to click the bottom box. And then you're going to click your text. So you got everything all in there, and then you want to hit your F6 and you want to group everything together. So I'm going to hit F6 on my keyboard, F6, and now look what happens. When I click this, it's all grouped together. So this dimension now is 34.5, and I usually use 36-inch material. It depends on how big your cutter is. Sometimes if I've made bigger signs where these are actually 36 and 36, I've made big signs like that before. I'll have to cut each one of these separately, and then I'll have to line them up on my sheeting, which is difficult in itself, but it can be done. But for this purpose, and then what you want to do is you can see what your sign is going to look like. Go ahead and save it. I would save this under like a G, make a little folder that says G. G would be for guide signs. Then you could put St. Helena Calistoga with the arrows or however you want to identify it so you can find this again. Then it's a real simple project to send off to the cutter. You're just going to go ahead and highlight this, come up to your file, and you're going to output the selected. You don't want to trim the border that's on the outside of the sign blank. You just want to trim the inside, because what's going to happen is this. Wait till my dialog box pops up here. Okay, yes, okay. I'm going to move this box out of the way. What's going to happen, here's my sign. Whoops. Here's my sign right now, F8. So this is the actual blank itself, which is covered already with your white reflective sheeting, and we're just going to overlay the green EC. So when we send this off to the cutter, we don't want to send this off. We just want to send the inside off. So we just, click our OK, and it goes off to our cutter just like this. And like I said, I remove those borders around there because it's just more stuff for me to trim off, and I don't like to trim that. So this, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and click our cut right here, and we're going to cut this out because we're just going to peel out these letters and we're going to leave all the green film around, so we don't need to have any cut lines or anything like that, any extra weeding lines or anything like that. It's already kind of done for us. How you doing, Bob the Sign Man here? Hope you enjoyed that last episode of making the guide sign with the border split down the middle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make another video
on some more borders, on making borders for stop signs, which have 8 sides, and I think we'll do a railroad crossing sign. I'll show you how to make the border on those. And I hope you're enjoying this series of the Gerber Omega 5. Like I said, I decided to make this because there is no online help for anything like we use, just for sign making only. Just for making traffic signs, no other stuff, because it can print a lot of graphics. A lot of people use graphic printers and stuff, which I don't. I just use the EC films and, cut vinyl, single color. So this is kind of like I'm putting together everything that I've learned. Maybe I can share it with some people that are having a little bit of troubles or problems. I've had a few people email me and ask me questions on the Gerber Omega 5 that they use. A lot of people use Flexi. I haven't got into that yet. So anyways, as always, thanks for watching.